Good evening and welcome to the Monday, June 12, Muscatine School District Board of Education meeting. Madam Secretary, can you please take roll and help us determine the quorum, please?
Sure. Directors Connard.
Here.
Cooney.
Here.
LaRue.
Here.
Morgan.
Here.
Phillips.
Here.
Sure.
Here.
Quorum is present.
Thank you. So moving forward with our agenda, the next item is to please stand up to recite the Pledge of the Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all, and would like to welcome our visitors and media representatives. So moving forward, we move into item 4 on our agenda, which is the public hearing for the Muscatine Community School District Jefferson School Addition and the Muscatine Community School District Softball Field Addition and Baseball Field Renovation. What are the wishes of the board?
I'll make the motion to open the public hearing for the Muscatine Community School District Jefferson School Addition and the Muscatine Community School District Softball Field Addition and Baseball Field Renovation.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Oh, I'm sorry. We need the roll call vote, please. Yeah.
So directors in favor say aye. Director Connard.
Aye.
Cooney.
Aye.
DeBeat.
Aye.
LaRue.
Aye.
Morgan.
Aye.
Phillips.
Aye.
Sure.
Aye.
So motion carries.
Thank you. Any discussion? Or did we receive any oral or written?
We did not.
Okay. So if there is no discussion and no oral or written comments, can we have a motion to close the public hearing, please?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Director Connard.
Aye.
Cooney.
Aye.
DeBeat.
Aye.
LaRue.
Aye.
Morgan.
Aye.
Phillips.
Aye.
Sure.
Aye.
Thank you. Next item is the citizen speaks. If anyone in the audience wants to address the board, please step to the podium, state your name and address. You will have 3 minutes. And remember, per Iowa code, we cannot respond or engage in any discussion during the board meeting. And as looking, at the audience here, I suspect there is no one is here to address the board. So moving forward, the board targets, goals, and reports. Item A, students will graduate prepared for the post-secondary options. Item B, Muscatine schools will utilize resources effectively and equitably. And item C, students will learn in a positive and supportive environment. And as you see on our agenda, we don't have any sub-items under this. With that, I will move to superintendent updates, please.
Thank you, John. Just some things to quickly update. One, as we wrapped up the school year, I think we had a really strong finish to the year. Including graduation and ending with our end-of-year staff picnic at the high school. Had a good turnout, and want to thank Hy-Vee and Midwest One for sponsoring that for our staff. Again, although it was a really hot day, it was a good day and a good way to send folks out for the summer. Right after that, though, we've had a number of days of training for the new literacy curriculum, as well as all of our buildings going through training on their ESSA planning for school improvement, even whether they had that designation or not. So we've had a lot of people at the board office in a lot of trainings, and again, a lot of planning has gone into that, including then here just last Thursday, some social emotional learning planning that's continuing as we kind of roll through next year into more work, implementation, and professional development. And then, as you know, we start summer programs here very soon with Spark starting in 2 weeks. So again, summer is starting off at a very fast pace. as it normally does, we move through this time pretty quickly. And then also just a number of our construction projects are underway, and Ryan gave us a little tour this morning of some of those things as we stopped at the centralized kitchen, which we expect to be turned over at the end of July or the first part of August. That's looking really good. We stopped by our secured entrances at Grant, Madison, at Susan Clark. Nothing starting quite yet at the high school, but we should see that pretty soon as well. So again, lots of things moving already. One of the things just for later, as we talk about construction, we just did those public hearings. So for Jefferson, those bids will be due June 29th, and then you'll be approving those at the July 10th board meeting. For baseball, softball, right now the plan is to have you approve those August 14th, which means construction would start right after that. Part of that is it took us a little longer to get into the final design phase just because we were back and forth on where those locations were going to be. But given the timelines that we have right now with Leggett and Russell, they still, from their timeline, we're going to have those turned over for the start of the season next year. So we'll continue to, we have a meeting this Wednesday, and we'll continue to get updates on that. If we need to do something sooner than that, we can call a special meeting and get those bids approved and try to get that started sooner if possible. So again, tonight, there were some action items later about approving the bids for Jefferson and the baseball and softball projects. When we get to that, we're just going to table that because obviously the bids aren't coming in tonight. We're just doing the hearings tonight. And so when we get to that item, we'll just table it until later. Okay? Any questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Clint. Okay, moving forward to next item is action, possible action. The following items are considered to be routine by the Board of Education and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless the director so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence from the agenda. The items are 1, minutes, 2, bills and claims, 3, employment recommendations, 4, cooperative agreement with St. Ambrose, 5, special education contracts with L&M, 6, MOU between MCSD and IJAC, grades 7 to 8, 7, MOU between MCSD and IJAC, grades 9 to 12, and the last item, policies, no minimal required by law. What are the wishes of the board?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as shown.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay, motion carried. That will take us to item J on our agenda. And before I read the item, for this item, we're going to have a roll call vote. So item J, to adopt the resolution approving revenue purpose statement, ordering an election on a revenue purpose statement to authorize expenditures from revenue received from the state secure and advanced vision for education fund, and ordering the publication of a notice of election. What are the wishes of the board?
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution.
Second.
So we have a motion and we have a second. Madam Secretary, can we have a roll call, please?
Is there any discussion? No? Okay. Director Connard?
Aye.
Cooney?
Aye.
DeBeat?
Aye.
LaRue?
Aye.
Morgan?
Aye.
Phillips?
Aye.
And Shore.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carried. And moving forward to next item is to approve the FY24 general fee structure. What are the wishes of the board?
Make a motion to approve the FY24 general fee structures.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, they all seem to be the same, so why do we separate them elementary, junior high, and high school? Because they've all now gone from, if you look, they're all instrumental music or material fee is 45, rental 60, activity pass 55.
Yearbooks. Those are different.
So the yearbooks, so we have them separated just because of yearbooks?
No.
Can we just have, here's the student fees, elementary through high school? I mean, would it make it easier? If you have to have them separated out because of,
Were they different at one time, Tom?
right,
Yeah.
but now they're all the same, so wouldn't it be simple that I've got a kid, here's what it costs to rent a musical instrument or get an activity pass or whatever it was, so, I don't know. I would look into that part of it. It doesn't matter to me, it just seems redundant.
When was the last time the fees were increased?
It has,
Been a long time.
We missed
Maybe
last.
4 years ago, they were all decreased. That instructional material fee was cut and then just standard across the board, so it's probably been 4 years or more. And I'm not sure about the instrument rental. That's been several years also.
Any other discussion?
I don't see a driver's ed fee on here anywhere. Did I miss that? But then it does mention that there would be kids that were,
And actually, the AEA establishes that fee, and that is a waivable fee too.
okay.
So.
Yeah, I just saw that it was waived, but then the fee wasn't listed, so I thought that was interesting. Yep.
Not in the school system.
Mike, are you okay with?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the suggestion. Okay, so all those in favor of approving the FY24 general fee structure, please signify by saying aye.
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 Oppose? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Moving forward, item L, to approve implementing a JROTC program at the Muscatine High School. What are the wishes of the board?
I'll make the motion to approve implementing the JROTC program at the Muscatine High School.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions?
Now, some of this, is this for middle school and high school, or just this one's just for the high
it's
school?
just for the high school. Again, as we had that presentation was that last month.
Right.
And again, this just starts the process. We still have to wait for then the federal government to come back and whether they approve that or not. And again, that can take 18 months to 2 years. So this
Okay.
really just kind of formalizes the starting point for the board and working through that process.
Any more discussion or questions? Okay, all those in favor of approving the implementation of a JROTC program at the Muscatine High School, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay. And as you know, our superintendent discussed that during his report, that item M is the item that we're going to table for tonight, and I assume we'll have it back next meeting, next board meeting.
Do we need to make a formal motion to table it, since it's on the agenda for action?
I don't think we need a formal motion to table it because you're
If
not.
we do, I'll make a motion to table it. It doesn't matter. If we don't, then,
I think basically tabling means we're going to hold on that. Now, again, remember, when these items come back, Jefferson will be separate. That's coming back in July, and it will likely be August when softball, baseball come back, if not sooner than that.
So this was just this would have been if we had the bids.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, so moving forward with discussion and information, and item A, first reading of 2023-24 draft copy of the student handbook. Any discussion?
I would like to make a suggestion that we create a special session, a work session, to thoroughly look at this as a board. I believe the handbook is probably one of the more important things that we do. It'd be nice to be able to go through and talk about all 60 pages together. So if we could, if everybody could send dates, or I don't know how we would work with the special session, if they can send a good time with Daphne, or maybe Daphne sends out an invite, and we say yes or no.
We do have a couple webinars coming up as well that we would probably
I'm
want to
assuming,
wait.
Mike, you're thinking, once we get some of that
Right.
Department of Education feedback and some of the, like from IASB and from the UEN, that kind of guidance on what we should be putting in there, then we can bring all those pieces
Yeah.
so that we're not doing it kind of
But
piecemeal.
even with this as 60 pages worth of stuff right now, it'd be nice to go through that, and we know that's coming down the road, so we're still going to have those discussions. If it happens before the special session, great. If not, then we know that we're still going to have those as well, so.
And I think one of the webinars that I just registered for today isn't until the end of July.
Right.
So that's not going to give us much time then. So maybe we would need to start somewhere else. But then I would suggest, I think too, that that be open to any administration or anybody that would want to come, so that we can ask questions and understand.
I would agree.
Who's right now, who's on the committee for this handbook?
handbook?
We have teachers, we have
Well, we have,
graders.
right, administrative directors and we have representatives, elementary and middle school and high school principals.
Okay.
I don't believe we had any teachers attend, no.
The one thing I would say to our audience is that my expectation would be that you guys need to change your summer to come to any special session. You would be invited, obviously, but it'd be nice my intent was more for us as a board to talk, and I would surely welcome any of your input, more than welcome it, because eventually it's going to come back to you anyway. But don't change plans if we pick out a date that doesn't work for you.
You'd want this before the second reading, correct?
I think so.
So before the July meeting?
Because that way we can figure out how far we get. We might need another one after the July meeting, and after we know for sure what the,
Then I would probably suggest we kind of take it in sections,
Yeah.
because like discipline, we don't want to mess with, because that whole thing could change. And even at the last AEA meeting we had, where Margaret Buckton was there from the UEN, she said several of these areas, don't get, the cart in front of the horse here, because, related to this, related to some of the library pieces and transparency pieces, all that could change once they rule on those things, so. But there are going to be sections in here that don't apply to that, and, we can, I just don't want the board to spend too much time on areas that we know are going to change.
I agree.
So, Mike, are you suggesting like a working board meeting
Yeah,
before?
like a work
or
session.
by the end of this month, maybe?
Yeah, we typically have something like this,
Yeah.
it would be, I think, June 26th, a couple weeks from now.
Yeah.
If that's
The
all right with people.
Fourth Monday or something like that. Okay. So is that okay
Yeah,
to
we can
take
set
care
something up.
of maybe sending that to all of us? Okay.
And
Thank you.
we would post that as the agenda for that work session, that would be
Yeah.
posted as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
So I
thank
think
you.
then, I had comments and things to make on the first draft, but maybe we'll just
Yeah.
save those for the meeting as well.
We'll have definitely a lengthy of discussion. And again, I think some people might have some questions for us, and we need to be ready to answer some of those questions. So yeah, it's a great idea to get together and have that discussion. Thank you. So you will send us the invite for that work session for the board, and we'll move forward. Meanwhile, if you hear anything from the state, the Department of Education, of any changes, that will be also added to that meeting.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't think we need a motion, right, for this?
This
Because
is all
that's
just
more a
discussion.
Discussion.
Yeah.
action
So,
anyway.
yeah, so we don't need a formal motion. Okay, thank you. Anything else before we move to item B? Okay, so moving to item B, which is the first reading on policies, 802, use of school property and equipment. The suggestion here is to delete this item, or this policy, I'm sorry. 805, Crisis Management and Response Plan. 900.3, use of school facilities during school hours, and the suggestion is to delete that. Any question on any of those policies?
Anywhere those are deleted, they exist somewhere else. And again, when we send you that, Daphne sends you that planning document, it should reference where those other policies are.
Okay.
I know it's always safer to be less direct in policies and let procedures do the work for us, but in the development of the procedures for 805 on the Crisis Management and Response Plan, I was wondering if we could even put in there somewhere how we will engage. I know it says that you could call upon law enforcement and they could help as far as those drills that we do in buildings, but even in the help of developing the procedures, if we have.
And they are a part of our district safety
Right.
team.
So if we could have like that safety team identified somewhere, maybe.
In the procedures, you mean?
Yeah, and I think even just saying that there will be one. So currently it's written as that it just kind of falls on you. But if there is a team that would represent those players, I know it probably doesn't need to be defined in any other policy, but this one seems pretty important that I think it'd be okay to go a little overboard.
Lindsay, if I remember correctly, I think it's in
we
the
added it.
handbook. I do think it's referenced in the handbook.
I don't think it says who's part of that committee.
Okay, maybe. Well,
It just says that we have a
if
crisis
it's
plan.
referenced in it, we could put it into the handbook
Right.
as well.
Well,
On the
and we
26th.
did add the first paragraph that said we would work with local agencies. Are you wanting something more specific?
Yeah, well, so then in just so that in the procedures too, they should be part of those plans. Like I think it just says right now that we'll
Oh.
determine if they, so I guess there's two parts. One, that they're part of the creation of the procedures, and then two, that maybe it's not just like, maybe they'll come. Like I think that we should be pretty firm that there's a partnership there and we're going to do these drills with law enforcement at least once a year. So that we know that we're not only meeting our needs, but theirs too, to work cohesively.
Okay.
I mean, that's my recommendation. But we'll talk about it again too, so we can always decide if that's clear enough.
Any other questions? Okay, if there is no other questions, let's move to item C, which is the second reading on policy. 204.17, the exempt meetings for the board, and that is, the suggestion is to add this as a new item. 204.4, closed sessions of the board. 305, communication channels. 600.3, school hours. 801, naming and/or dedication of facilities and grounds. Any question about any of those policies as we're going through the second reading?
I guess I would say about the exempt meeting of the board, just probably, it says approved 11/13/89, reviewed 6/14/21, but then it said revised on 6/13/16.
That was the last
Those
time
dates.
it was revised prior to this. So every 5 years.
I think what you're seeing is
The dates.
the exempt and the closed meetings were combined
And
into
was
one.
separated.
And then ISB is suggesting that those be separated, so the dates that you're seeing is when it was combined with the other
There
policy.
you go. That's what I was, yeah, gotcha.
Any other question? Okay, thank you. So moving forward, we move into May 2023 financials. And Tom, all yours.
So presented tonight are the May 31st financials. You see on our calendar there, what we did tonight is approve the RPS, and then November 7th will be that vote, which is also the school board election. Our November meeting is on the 20th, actually, not the 13th, as noted in that change. So I have no comments really on the reconciliation, probably on the revenue and expense for the general fund. We're at 85% of our revenues, and 74% of our expenses, but here in June, summertime picks up for finance. As you know, our end of fiscal year is in June, and so we'll start finishing up, closing out our year, and I'll have some preliminary numbers here probably in the next board meeting or the next one after that. So that's all. Thank you.
Any question for Tom? So Tom, I think like this is a busy time for you now? Yes. Yeah, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for all your work. Any question? Okay, that would take us to our announcements, meetings, and events. June 7 to August 2nd, 2023, summer meal program at Susan Clark Junior High, 600 Kindler. June 13, 2023, MCSD and Riverbend Mobile Food Pantry, 4:30 to 5:30 on the 2900 Mulberry Avenue, the school district office. June 20th to July 21st, 2023, obviously no July 3rd or 4th. It will be the Spark program at Jefferson Elementary School, 403 East 9th Street. And June 10th, 2023, school board regular meeting at 7 p.m. here at the City Hall. Any other announcement? Okay, can we have a motion to adjourn, please?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Those of you who are in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Good night, everybody.